from the UK, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to the Mic Drop Club, hosted by Douglas Hammond-Dishe. Message received. You do not need to know what you need. Just engage with the podcast feed. Providing weekly insights into cool stuff we've read, saw, did, or heard about what made us say, wow, eureka, damn, nothing is off limits. If it motivates and inspires you to reach your goals, then it shall be discussed. Featuring guest interviews from high performers and people of influence, and weekly awards for the best mic drop moment. This podcast is guaranteed to leave you pumped up for the week ahead. Don't just live life. Make life boom.
Dusty Bin and all that. So, yeah. Hi, everybody. It's Douglas Hammond-Dishe from the Mic Drop Club today. I am super excited. You can probably tell from my iris. I've got Dr. Joel Brown in the house. Yeah, well, indeed, sir. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be breaking down quite a few far-ranging subjects, but distilling it down to essentially our why. Yeah. This podcast is going to be centered around: do you need permission before you can proceed in anything that you want to achieve in your life? So first of all, Joel, massive big up to you. Thank you very much for spending some time. I know your time is premium. So let's break down your why and how you got into this space.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for this invitation, man. I don't take it for granted. I have been earnestly on the edge of my seat, just looking forward to just this chance to chop it up with you. We had a kind of like a preamble meeting just a couple of weeks back, and I was just like, this guy, there's just so much common ground. There's a sense of alignment, of purpose and destiny. And I was like, super, just captivated by your own story, your own resilience. And it just made me think about my own life and my journey. So just for your audience who might not know like a little bit about my why and the background, so I'll just kind of give that real quick. So I'm of Jamaican heritage, was born there, grew up there, and came over to the UK in my kind of like teen years, went into do my A-levels, went into medical school, and subsequently after leaving medical school, became a GP. And you asked that question about, what is my why? And this idea about not needing permission to discover who you really are and really just taking those steps to kind of break out of the mold, as it were, because I think I'd kind of always had this idea that the culture of medicine and the sense in which who you were supposed to be and what that was supposed to look like, who you were supposed to hang out with, what your career was supposed to look like, there was a sense in which all of that was kind of determined before you got there. There was kind of like this kind of path. There's this that you were expected to conform to. I mean, whether or not that was explicit or not, that was certainly the sense that I had. And I always sensed this, almost like as if I was pushing against the grain, not just to be confrontational, or I just felt like, I just didn't want to stick to whatever the stereotype might have been, whether that was a stereotype based on, race or different cultures. I've always had this sense that I want to feel like I can do what I want to do, despite, whatever was kind of blocking that. And so, I think when I put my finger on it, like what it is that I've tried to discover, what were the moments of clarity through some difficult seasons, feeling unsure about my career as a doctor at times, thinking, did I kind of wind up in the wrong place, whether you want to call it imposter syndrome, having challenges of exam failure, or just feeling disillusioned about what it all kind of means. Because as I said, like when you feel like you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this research project, or this is the path that you're expected to go, and me thinking that's not where I felt like I was inclined to go. There was that sense of, boy, what am I supposed to be doing? But these clarity moments of just genuinely sensing, you know what, it's not. I genuinely feel that it's not an accident that I've ended up in the world of medicine, and I've been given this opportunity to demonstrate to others who feel like I'm supposed to be stuck in the mold. I'm hoping that I can demonstrate to others the joy that comes, the freedom that comes from taking your career into your own hands and molding the career that you want.
Fantastic. And you covered a lot of ground in there. And I was just waiting for the moment to give you a mic drop. It's going to come because we're just warming up. This is just the starting point. So if we go back in terms of understanding the mindset that you must have, or this innate sense of maybe a calling that you think differently, where do you think that comes from? You got a cultural background that rightfully or wrongfully has its own ways of conforming to its own stereotypes of what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to laugh, how you're supposed to dress, what music's supposed to listen to, how we bury the dead. You know, you've got all of that kind of stuff going on. What is it about you, Joel, that made you that you look to as your source to say, if the herd is moving east, I could go west?
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great question. I could kind of approach it from a few different angles. But even if I start out with the culture of medicine and the understanding as to what types of careers you should go into, and just the sense of the path that you're supposed to go, how it's supposed to be. A lot of that oftentimes does come from, whether or not you've come from a family of medics where your parents are doctors or clinicians and therefore there is the kind of mold you're expected to kind of follow this path because mom and dad says so, or you have that sense of you feel you need to abide by, whatever legacy or culture in the career that that you felt like, okay, I can't sort of like not follow that because the example is too strong. I didn't have that. My parents did go to university, but weren't medics, and there was a sense in which, while I did have some examples and inspirations from my mother's older sister, who is now a retired raumatologist, and there's some of that inspiration from a distance. But I think that the pressure to feel like I had to go down certain paths, wasn't there. But at the same time, I think for me, what I think gave me the sense in which I felt like that I could pull on this confidence to be who I wanted to be, despite the very strong pressure to conform in certain environments, is I think my grandmother certainly was someone who I feel. I mean, she may she rest in peace. Died in 2019 at the end of a 20 years sort of progressive dementia, Alzheimer's dementia.
But on that note, we need to big up your grandma. Your grandma gets the first mic drop.
Okay, guys, everybody ready?
Listen, I don't know.
Atomic mic drop.
There's something about when you have a grandmother like the grandmother I was blessed with, who I'll just give this one, sort of summary of her life. And I discovered this at the end of her life, sadly. But I learned a story about her when in Jamaica in around the 1960s. Jamaica got independence in 62 from Great Britain. Of course, was a colony for many years, and as a result of that, there was a school in the area that she lived in where she became the principal of that school, and that school was formerly a boarding school, and the children that attended the boarding school were essentially children of expats from Britain who were working in Jamaica, and at that time were then now post-independence planning to relocate to the UK. So they left and were taking many of their children because this was a private boarding school which required the income of these expats. Obviously, there was going to be this issue regarding the school continuing as it was. So the government took it over. My grandmother was principal. And one of the things that she really cared about for this school was to expand and and then allow local kids who were from poorer backgrounds to be able to come into the school so they could get an education. She always cared about the children in the area and wanted to give them a chance. And she had to kind of fight for that to happen. It was not easy, and had a few years going against the grain of a board who were trying to figure out some, difficult transitions as it relates to, the funds that were available. And she did that and was successful at doing that. And I found at the funeral, these 40 years later, there were so many of the girls who are now obviously all grown up, and different generations of them who attended, and they were all wearing purple at her funeral, and it was the color of the school. And It was just a testament to her resilience, her faith, her perseverance to push through. And that I carry that, and I'm very proud of what she did and the legacy of that I think, even though I only learned about it in 2019, I retrospectively was able to discover, actually, that now explains this deep part of me that's always felt that, you know what, I'm going to go after what I believe is right, what I believe is right for me, what I believe is right for the people that I care about, and the passions that I have.
Oh, wow. That is super, super, super powerful. In there, you covered resilience. Purple, is a regal color. So your grandmother there, soul rest in peace. That might drop for grandmother there. Because so often there's a compelling narrative that we are not fully conscious of that dictates how we play out the moves in our own lives.
Yeah.
For myself, if we can talk back and forth, there's an innate calling. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I just have to express myself.
Yeah.
And until I've done that, I'm not going to be happy. And this has nothing to do with whatever work I'm supposed to be doing. It's almost, if it's a physical presence, it's the unseen hand guiding me to go do stuff. So particularly as a black man, being raised in the UK, we cannot shy away from some of the negative stereotypes that we have to counter every single day when we turn up, with wearing the mask. And then we come home to our partners, and our partners ask us, why are you so tired? Because we've been acting half the time. Particularly in the early stages of my career, it was acting throughout the day. And there's this thing about the British culture. For example, you spoke about permission right at the beginning, and I think we break it down more. The British society, British culture, I think this transcends all races, actually. If you greet somebody, you ask how you doing.
Yeah.
The polite response is to answer back, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
And we're looking for permission.
Yeah.
Before we reveal that which is what we actually are experiencing. I feel like crap. And
it sounds like you need a mic drop.
Okay, guys, everybody ready?
So there's different, there's so many layers that we're trying to unpick that we've navigated, and we are still navigating through. Yeah. To just be here and present. Yeah. Present. You spoke about your grandmother, having dementia. I worked in an old people's home for many years when I was training as a nurse. And when I was training in 2003, there was a lot of, should I say, racism from the patients that don't want to be touched by a black person, all this kind of stuff. And dementia played a big part of it as well, because they could only go back to a time when there were no black people in there. So there was genuine frightenedness. They were genuinely frightened in some regards. But now, I went to do a shift the other day, and the ward, same type ward, early onset dementia ward, same smells, same care regime. The fundamental difference is there are now black people as patients there. And that was not there when I was training at all. So the games they were playing, for example, we've got dominoes on one side being played. We've got cards on the other side being played. When we're playing music as therapy for the patients, it's eclectic. And I think all of that lends itself for a healing or coming together, because I think we're the descendants. I'm first generation. You're No, I'm first generation because I wasn't born here. I came here when I was young.
Yeah.
But certainly we are not 2-3 generations deep enough. But as we're having this conversation, things are unfolding right before our eyes, are shifting what we perceive to be the norm. Like you being a doctor, certainly when I was training, no way that was something I would, if I did picture a doctor, it would be more in the guise of Sir Trevor McDonald.
Right. Not somebody with dreadlocks.
No. So it's certainly refreshing and right and exact. And I saw another black person delivering, I think, Channel 4 News with dreadlocks last week or 2 weeks ago. So things are changing. Do you think the shift is fast enough? Or I know it's a double barrel. Do you think the shift is fast enough in terms of people's perception?
Yeah.
And do you think there's more that black leaders such as ourselves can do to inspire the ones coming up, that they do not require permission to think differently, act differently?
Yeah. That's just, I love these power pack questions where it's like, yo, so I'm gonna answer it to the best of my ability, and I'm gonna touch on some of the things you mentioned there about, the varying stereotypes, and how, you know what, I had to come to the realization that stereotypes, there is a point you can argue that human beings will stereotype. They are in part due to patterns. They're patterns that we see, and our brains interpret patterns and rely on our ability to use patterns as a means to say, okay, right, so I saw it this time, so the next time I see that, my brain has a reference. And stereotypes, as I said, in a way, they are part of the mechanism that we navigate the world around us and try to, as I said, make decisions. And, they can be good, bad, or indifferent. And of course, when we talk about racial stereotypes or cultural stereotypes, for instance, coming from Jamaica, there were lots of assumptions about the type of personality that I might be. I might be a bit more laid back, not that serious, maybe athletic. I'm not very athletic, as most of you can probably tell. Usain Bolt is amazing. I do not have any of those physical abilities. But trying to kind of navigate a world where there are sets of assumptions of what you're supposed to be into or not can, as I said, it can be quite laborious. And I think it's making that internal decision, or having people around you that reminded you that you have the choice. As much as you feel that these pressures around you are telling you that this is the way you have to go. And I think that there's nothing wrong with expressing the desires that you have, even if it's so-called lands in what people consider to be a stereotype. So for instance, I'm a musician, I'm a singer, I love that creativity. Now someone might look at me and go, oh yeah, you got dreadlocks. Yeah, I could see you being a singer. And they may think it's a stereotype. Or me, I'm just doing it because that's supposed to be what I look like. But I embrace my creativity, and interestingly, in this context of being able to be someone that, yes, I knew and sensed from a very early age that I had this calling or this sense of desire towards healing, towards helping people towards their wholeness. And medicine became clear that, my interest in biology and chemistry, how the body works, and, very early stages in my life, I can remember fostering that desire. This is not something that was pushed into me or told, oh, you're bright, so go and be a doctor. It was very much something that came from the inside of me. That's that deeper sense of, as you said, that hand behind that step, that I believe is or refer to as God. And that sense of calling, definitely big part for me. But I knew that there were other avenues and channels in which that healing calling could flow. And music and creativity is part of that. So leading back to your question, what more needs to be done? I think when leaders, when black men, black women, people from other backgrounds push back and just be who they are authentically, navigate the paths that they feel that they're called to, with courage, pursuing it and demonstrating that. I think that the more that's out there, that's represented, will help to inspire that next generation to just the whatever relics or that sense of apprehension or hesitancy towards being and doing whatever they feel like they want to do. I think that will help to shatter that. And I think that we have a crucial opportunity to do that for the generation. I've got 2 girls, and I feel like, you know what, I want to have this hope that actually, from seeing myself and my peers, us just doing this thing, and as I said, for me, just to make that point clear about how I'm kind of building my career. I'm a GP. I don't know if I'd mentioned that earlier because I kind of dive straight into this sense of just, I don't see myself defined by the label of being a general practitioner. It is one, sort of conduit through which, my passions flow. I'm a creative, as I mentioned, singer, songwriter. Clearly, that is a passion, again, that has been cultivated from childhood. And it's a means by which I want to inspire and to challenge people to think, to question, to celebrate, life, to question some of these stereotypes as well, so that we can empower ourselves, put ourselves back in the driving seat, as it were, as it relates to the career that we want. Yeah. I think that's so crucial.
Excellent. And coming from yourself, that carries a lot more weight. I do recall before I came into the health space, I'd done a lot of buddying for inner city kids who don't have father figures. Yeah. And this was before I entered the realm of mental health, psychology, and all of that kind of stuff. And I was intrigued that some of these kids, outside of, deprivation, lack of father figures, role models, they had this real sense of poverty, a sense of lack. No matter what you gave them, it was never enough. They needed to have real concrete evidence before they would change their mind. So I remember I bought a vehicle. I know it maybe sounds superficial, but it had a deeper meaning. I bought a car that I didn't want to buy to inspire the kids that you can have a normal job and drive a nice car. So I bought a 325 BMW Alpine suspension, all of that kind of stuff. And I was doing it legally, the whole legal route, everything. So I'm driving through inner city London. The young people who I'm mentoring, they see that and they call me Uncle D, blah, 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 blah. And they can't unsee what they've seen. Yeah. And that's and I think being visible and being present is something that I think is incumbent on leaders such as ourselves who have been maybe thrust in the position, because I didn't wake up at any one stage thinking I'm a leader per se. But I know, and therefore, because I know, I have a duty to act on my knowledge to help other people, because if I don't, I'm just contributing to the problem. That's the way I see life. So this platform, Mic Drop Club, having these conversations with yourself and like-minded people, is just to generate that sense of pride in ourselves that we can do it, challenge your stereotypes, confirm some stereotypes, even if that is the case. Because you being a musician, maybe you could give a quick message for all the creatives who are sitting on the precipice of creating, but feel they need permission before they can create.
That's such a cool thought, that sitting on the precipice, because there is the fear sometimes that as a creative, that you think everything's already been said that needs to be said, everything's been written that needs to be written. There's this fear that, kind of waiting and thinking, is there any place for me creatively? Is there any need for me? Everything that's ever been written has, everything that needs to have been written has already been written. Everything that needs to be said has been said. And the truth is, I do believe that we were created, and I therefore believe as a result of that, one of our key parts of why we're here is to create, is to innovate, and there is something unique about what every creative brings to the table that despite the fact that other people may have done something similar, what you bring creatively is unique and is different because it has your fingerprint. The essence of who you are is built into the DNA of everything you create.
There you go. Guys, everybody
That's
ready?
a mic drop. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's like, I get on the piano and sometimes I can feel like, I'm not formally trained in music, right? So everything I play is self-taught. And I think I use self-taught like that because I've learned from other people. I've watched videos and tutorials, and I started playing music in medical school. So I was not an early worm in that sense, or early bird, is that the right phrase? But I learned, and I felt, and there are times I've sometimes felt like, I don't know enough. Or sometimes I feel like the chords I play, gosh, I wish I knew more, to play the chords that so-and-so plays. And it's amazing how we can sit on our gift thinking it's not fancy enough, it's not impressive enough, etc. And then there are people who've heard me play and sing and do what I do, and they've been moved to tears, and they've just said, thank you for just doing that, or saying that, or singing that, or writing that. And that voice in our head that tells us that we're not needed, or creativity is redundant, or it's a lie. So I think, and I want to say this to medics, clinicians, nurses, like, don't allow the prevailing culture that says all you are is a medic or a clinician and you can't still cultivate that creativity. Use it in your work, as well. Like, I mean, my creative mind is so crucial to who I am in every respect, even as a clinician, and so I think of ways to be able to incorporate and cultivate that creative thinking, even in my quote unquote work, what I do, because it's all part of it. We're not compartmentalized. We shouldn't just compartmentalize our lives. Let's integrate the creative, the leadership, the clinical, and just
Okay, guys, everybody ready?
Absolutely.
Mic drop.
Another mic drop for that, because you squared the whole subject matter really, really well, and I like the way you always advocate authenticity, always advocating bring yourself, your skills. So many people in this profession, health, social care, they've got degrees lying under the bed. They've got degrees lying under the bed, and they're struggling sometimes to engage with a patient. But through conversation with the patient, you might realize that, for example, hypothetically, your law degree could be the reason why, could have information that could help you engage with a patient who's on that ward because they're being taken to court.
Yeah.
And you're struggling to engage. Creativity for me allows me to be truly present.
Yeah.
When I don't have creativity, I'm not present. Because I'm now restricted to coloring in between the lines, and my canvas is life, So if somebody's telling me, oh, we're going to do a filming gig, and the brief is so tight, I just feel like I've got shackles, and I think, and that's testimony to see some of the stuff that you see from creatives. It's samey. Yeah. Because I think they hit a brick wall and they say to themselves, who am I to push through that brick wall and offer something completely different, a completely different angle of filming, a quick, completely different way of presenting information. I think they just surrender to that. And I think that is a slow death for me. My creativity needs to be just unleashed. But it's taken a long time to find that confidence. I tell people all the time, when we record stuff like that, the anxiety is there, most definitely. It's ever present. Yeah. But I'm doing it because I'm anxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I do it because if I don't get the anxiety, if I don't get the fear, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's so true.
You know,
I just want to say I relate to that, and I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying my career, the way I've molded it, you know, how I've split my week up, the different things I'm doing, and the kind of, you know, digital health space, and everything's intentional. And it's not like as if it's just, people sometimes might think, okay, if you carve your own career, it's sort of, you know, kind of random, you just do whatever. And there is a certain amount of, you know, I think it's fine to sometimes kind of go, actually, I like the sound of that, I'm going to try that. It's okay to experiment. And then if you think, hey, that didn't work out, that's okay. You know, but I mean, I think for me, it's been great I was in Malta in November, 2022, at part of this digital health conference. I mean, it was just incredible being there. This beautiful Mediterranean island, meeting people, having conversations, getting to know people behind their persona, which is like, for me, that's so key as well. It's not just about, you know, the kind of stuff that we just rattle off of our CVs, and just discovering people's creative like superpowers. And I'm just kind of going, I like that. I like that. I see some scope for some, some synergy there. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's what excites me so much about you, Douglas. I mean, you know, you're such a genuine, person that's so easy to talk to, and it's so clear that you love people and you love empowering people, and similarly that's exactly why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm having this conversation. I just want that people can watch this and just kind of go, you know what? I don't have to have everything. I don't have to have my whole life and career all together by a certain age and be a consultant by this age or this. Just take each day as it comes. Plan and design your life, your career, you know what I mean? Connect with the people that make you happy. Don't sit around in boring, dry meetings and pretend that you're happy. You know what I mean? Just don't forget, you've got to be pragmatic for seasons in your life, but for goodness sake, please, you've got one life. You've got this one. Do what, you know, you clearly desire to do. I think career autonomy, I've discovered that's the secret sauce. It's like, you know, to have that fulfilling career. Like if you can look back and see that, actually, you know what, I'm doing the roles that I enjoy because these are my passions. I like to teach, or if I don't, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? And so I look at my career and I'm like, I'm doing the bits and the things that align with my core values, and that I can go home and I can sleep and I can know, you know what, I haven't got the perfect job, but I'm doing the things that give me that feedback that, absolutely, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Do you struggle to achieve your goals or to find your purpose in life? Why waste your time dreaming when you could be fulfilling your biggest, boldest, brightest goals? Tune in to the Mic Drop Club and listen to guest speakers and people of influence as they reveal their secret techniques to help you to get to your dreams and goals and turn them into reality. Do you struggle to prioritize your tasks to achieve your goals? Surely there's a better way. We don't have to land in space to be great. Frankly, we don't need to, but given the opportunity, wouldn't you like to do something spectacular and make an impact? Tune in to the Mic Drop Club, where the secrets behind achieving extraordinary results are shared weekly with your host, Douglas Hamandashay. We'll be with you every step of the way, giving you all the motivation to not just live life, but to make life boom.
Absolutely, because values are central. Values, principles, and beliefs. And all too often in the Western world, we we never get time to critically appraise our values.
Yeah.
We just accept the values that were downloaded to us from our parents or our environment.
Yeah.
You know, I think it becomes a time where we have to really start asking ourselves, what do we value? You know, do we value friendships?
Yeah.
If so, find a career that puts you around people that you can befriend them. You know, do you value time? Do you value money? Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong, but being able to reflect that at an older age instead of just assuming everything's still the same as when we were in school, sitting cross-kneed, singing Kumbaya. We're older now. We need to we need to think. And I just want to build with you very quickly. I know your time is running out. So what you said there about design your career, and be the architect of your career,
Okay, guys, everybody
in a
ready?
sense. You know, there's a mic drop there for you right off the bat, right, for that. And how I want to build with you on that one is because up until we had this conversation, I was taught there's only 3 times in this life you can be selfish. And so the first time in life you can be selfish is when you're a baby. You know, in the pram, you can pee on people, vomit on people, do what you want, you know, but you're just not conscious, yeah? That's the key stage, right? Yeah. The second stage is when you pick your partner. You know, when you pick your partner to be in life. And the third stage is on your deathbed. Say what you like, you know, you're going out. But you've introduced the fourth one, which is you've got to be selfish when it comes to your career. You know, it starts with intention. You know, design your career as a master architect, a master builder. Yeah. You know, because ultimately you don't take your family to work. Yeah. You know, you're there on your own for those 8 hours, 12 hours. You're there on your own. So no matter what they have used for you, you know, you got to be happy, you know. So, no, you definitely, you brought the fire like Prometheus on this one here. So, Dr. Joel Brown, to close for this part 1, and I'm putting my attention out there for this part 1.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back in time and see your 11-year-old, 12-year-old self, or at a time when you had doubt, what would you have said to yourself?
What I've said to my 11-year-old self. The first word that came to my mind was, the first 2 words were have courage. I probably could, maybe if I thought about it a bit more, come up with something more profound. But I found that the times where I've allowed fear to undermine my courage throughout my life so far has been the most costly times of my life, because fear and not being, and fear is real. And sometimes I've heard people say that sometimes your perception of fear may not be a reflection of reality. So you can sometimes find yourself stuck in between those 2 possibilities. But courage can make you do things even afraid. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's anything. I could think of so many examples that if I just had the courage to stand, and I feel like, you know what, telling my 11-year-old self that would have helped me to accomplish some things that probably, and I don't live with regret, but I feel like I probably would have accomplished some things maybe sooner. You know, or come to certain realizations and breakthroughs sooner had I had some, you know, courage in some of those crucial moments.
Okay, guys, everybody
Excellent
ready?
point, Joel. And you get a mic drop for that one. Courage. Courage is calling. The opposite of courage, we know, is conformity. And that's something that we've been advocating against throughout this show. Be yourself, turn up, you know, be authentic and all that kind of stuff. So courage is the theme. You don't need permission from anybody to craft a life for yourself. Start with intention, you know, critically appraise everything, everything's open for reevaluation. If it's the right thing, it will stick.
Yeah,
it will stick. Dr. Joel, thank you very much for your time, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
That's it.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad. Yeah, thank you for that, man. Just it's a really nice way to end the week. Just feeling like I've had a chance to just at any opportunity I get to think about my why am I here? It's so empowering because I kind of go away with this sense of clarity of, okay, yes, you know what? I've reminded myself this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is and this whole thing about career stuff has been so key. I mean, we could. That's why I'm saying we could easily have a part 2. The amount of distress. You know, the times where I was just like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? And why did I feel so stuck? And that this didn't work. And how now I'm in this place and space where I feel so empowered. Like there's some people who are so surprised when they talk to me now versus when they spoke to me 3 years ago, how disillusioned about career stuff and just not really sure how things were going to turn out. And where I am now, it's like a
polar shift.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So,
but I salute you. I absolutely salute you. I'm quivering. I'm going to pick up my son from nursery, feeling so empowered.
Thank you.
I think people have a gift. You've answered your gift, and you've got many gifts.
Yeah.
Why do you have to have one? You know, the era of the one-trick pony. It's over.
It's over.
You know, it's
definitely over. That would have been a one drop for the thing, but that's it. That's it. It's like just embracing that I am, you know, I'm layered, I'm multifactorial, whatever.
Yeah.
So many elements to me and how my calling expresses itself, and I don't have to feel like one of the words that have been runs through my mind is this mathematical concept. And so I think math is I love maths. It's so much philosophy in math, but this idea of being an integer. You know, we learn about integers, basically a whole number. So it's not fractal, and being able to embrace the complexities of who you are as but still be whole and be complete and not feel like you have to be your break. So that's something that I've had to embrace, that I come with complexity. And as you said, I recognize if somebody tries to read my LinkedIn and go, what's this guy? What's this guy's interest? It's not easy because there are, you know, I mean, I have interest in certain political conversations, in certain, you know, the creative side of things, even within healthcare. There are different. It's just different.
Yeah, it's everything. The integer example is superb because whole numbers are broken down into infinite numbers. Yeah, infinite. And so whatever stage you are in our life, we have to count back down, like count to 10. Then we got to do 11, 12, then 20, 21, 22. So every 1, 2, 3 up again, you're a beginner moving up. You know, and so often as creative, you don't want to be a beginner again. Yeah. You don't want to accept. You're thinking, no, I know enough. You got the chords. Yeah. But the next level requires you to go back down to 1. Yeah. Then up again. So we are enough. My dad always says, you are enough. Yeah. You know, and I wish you enough. And when I was younger, I didn't understand the whole concept. You know, I said, I don't have enough money, Dad. Dad said, you got enough. So we were on custard creams half the time. Yeah. When I was in college, and I used to, you know, in a custard cream packet, typically those days you get 12 custard creams. So you know how to divide it. But anyway, I won't take up any more of your time. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Take care. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out micdropclub.com and get the show notes and useful links. Subscribe to the podcast. Don't just live life. Make life boom.